everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Laila, and I'm a clinical application specialist at Jeisys. Today, we are presenting about consulting techniques to convince patients, and it will be presented by Cynthia Lee, who is the first hospital coordinator in Korea. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your control panel. I will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for questions at the end.
Hello everyone, I'm Cynthia Lee and I'm a hospital service designer. Um, you might feel it's a strange job, right? It's been 23 years since I started working in the medical field, and it's been 18 years since I started teaching. What I shared in my lectures are mainly how to design the patient journey to convey your expertise, reliability, and safety of your hospital while they are visiting us, to increase the profit of your hospital, to maintain good business management. The customer decides whether or not to receive treatment through emotional appearance in your hospital, and satisfied customer may introduce other patients to you. This is one of the way increase the new patient group. If number of patients decrease, compare with the number of visiting patients. If the number of patients who decided treatment and pay money was decreased, if the number of returning patients was decreased, you need to check your patient's journey and change the route to customer-oriented journey. So today I cannot tell you all the practical solutions, but I will do my best to give you the outline needed to increase and maintain your patient. To tell you the conclusion, the key is to deliver and maintain reliability. As competition intensifies, we must satisfy our patient not only in terms of quality of care, but also in their emotional satisfaction. As competition, next, compared to the hospital, to the other hospital, we should give our patient the belief that our medical treatment, convenience, and human respect is better. This is because the patient is willing to pay one's trust medical staff or hospital. Customers who use healthcare service, they think their experience in all aspects of treatment and treatment as a quality of service. You have excellent skill, I believe, but if you have problems with speech, facial expression, or behavior about the patient, or if you own smaller office compared to your competi- com- competitors, the patient does not trust you. Consumers choose doctors and hospitals for deeply personal and emotional reasons. It is not always reasonable. Ironically, as patients are not an expert, they don't think about treatment and service separately and evaluate the quality of the hospital with their own words and actions rather than the doctor, clinical knowledge, or clinical skills. Eventually, as a professional, if we place factors that give trust in patient journey, they will trust and follow you. Patients will have confidence in your hospital and will pay before they leave. I place devices on the patient journey to express our expertise and reliability. It can be a way of communicating with the medical staff, or it can be the environment, the facility, and the promotional materials of the hospital. If you are a doctor or manager or marketer, this lecture will be very helpful. It is because you are the communicator to build trust with customer. The way of communication will determine your hospital profit. The effective way to build trust with customer is when the team is together and when trust is naturally delivered in everywhere in the hospital. It is much more powerful. Therefore, after this lecture, I'd like you to share this information with your team. Have you ever experienced patient journey? Have you ever been a patient? When I visited the hospital from the patient point of view, I felt different from when I visited a department store or a restaurant, and I experienced different service process. I paid same amount of money anyway, but the hospital was not as friendly as department store to me. I'm the same customer who pays cost anyway, but depending on the place, I felt different. Here we need to think about the journey of medical service. Let's suppose that we have $5,000. We can buy happiness with this money, or we can be healthy. There are three patients. Cynthia, who has a cancer, spent this money to cure herself. Dying Cynthia was to spend more time for her young baby. Jane wants to use this money to remove facial scars for social life before she gets a job. Jisoo will spend this money for the diet and liposuction before she marries. Whatever the reason, paying money at a hospital being with anxious and fear. However, you get the result you wanted after a painful process. Sometimes it can be different from what the patient expected. You've just seen $5,000 is exchanged with the process of uncertainty and pain. Let's look at another example. Cynthia decided to decorate a baby room. She's willing to spend this money to prepare the last present for her baby. How about Jane? She buys Armani suit or Gucci handbag. That makes her look better for job interview. Jisoo could buy a wedding dress that she had dreamed of. They will experience the process of exchanging $5,000 for the value of happiness. At the department store, the clerk will treat the customer very well, and the customer will receive a lot of praise from them and feel better. It's beautiful you have an eye for a good product. The product seems to have been made for you. The clerk will say like this. These three buying process being with a feeling of joy. Once you pay the money, you will be satisfied with the product in your hands. Also, you will not be required to make any judgment. Then may follow complicated professional knowledge or side effect during the consumption process. It's always happy to buy. In other words, it is a journey to exchange money and time for the value of happy emotion. It is the same money, but it brings different process and different result. What process is and result you want to pay? On the other hand, when you visit a hospital for treatment, you will go through a different pattern of journey. You might go through a process of exchanging $5,000 with the value of pain reduction or get rid of concern. Medical service cannot be purchased or verified like suit or bag. You will only guess from the result of other patients' treatment. It is uncertain that I will be pretty as thin as one on advertisement. This is because the body tissue react and recovery is different by each patient. If we have a different result than what you thought, or if you have side effects, you will not be able to return back to the previous state or get an exchange. The doctor says this cancer treatment method has a 68% success rate for patients with cancer like you, and you will wait for the patient purchase decision. Based on the provided information by the doctor, patients have to make a difficult decision that might take their health and life. This information includes the old and old that you may die if surgery is ineffective and may side effect. But they will hear it is not doctors or hospitals' fault, but the patient's physical condition so admitted. Of course, this is very extreme example, but it wouldn't be overstated in terms of how the patients feel. Is it really a different journey than the service you received at the department store? Previously mentioned three women can go to the department store or go to your hospital. Please keep in mind they will pay the money to you when they find better value in your hospital than the value of joy. Remember, if you cannot show them or give them assurance, it is hard to sell. Communicate patient safety with easy to understand language and media like pictures, visual medias. Patients are more scared than they say they are. This is actually a survey from dentistry. You can see the slide page number 8. This is actually surveys from dentistry. 37 of the patients wonder whether medical device or treatment is safe, but the only 15% of them ask a question: is this treatment safe? Patients feel more scared than they actually express about treatment. In fact, patients often fail to express their feeling of fear or anxious. Medical professionals should understand the psychology of patients and help them to follow their treatment with assurance. As mentioned earlier, patients do not have professional medical knowledge, so they are highly dependent on specialized medical staff. It is important to show patients the impression that we are expert who will judge on behalf of them and recommend the most suitable treatment. It is important to show patients the impression that we are experts who will judge on behalf of them and recommend the most suitable treatment. It is good to have a system that can give credibility as an expert in every part of the patient journey. Make sure that the people they will meet at your hospital, like medical staffs and counselors, look and feel professional. So you can put photos of the activity of the society and the advantage of the facility that can give credibility to patients. It can give an impression that you are professional, and also you can make them think your hospital can guarantee the safety of the patient and make them trust that you can provide better treatment result. Let's take a look at the patient journey to see where this communication system can be exposed and how to expose. As we have limited time, so I will look at the waiting room and the consultation room today. These two spaces are good place to impress your new patient. When the customer opened the door and entered the waiting room, your team finally met face to face with the patient. Message you want to deliver needs to be naturally exposed in the waiting room, such as menu at the restaurant. You need to deliver a profile of the medical steps, what your mission is, and what your specialty is. And you must show them you are patient safety. You can care your patient safety with introduction of your facility and medical device. You can put those of tools as a menu, as a book, as a video. See the samples. Think about when you visited a cafe or restaurant. You can see the menu and see what is the best dishes or drink there. Expose your strengths with familiar sensibility and environment. Also, the impression of the receptionist, it will be very important at this stage. Receptionist is the first impression and the final impression of the hospital. When the patients meet other people like nurse or consultant, they should give the patient the impression that the doctor is looking carefully at the patient and giving a special prescription. Avoid treat them in common way. Go to the consultation room if possible. Prepare a separate consulting room. Let's see the slide number, page number 12. Go to the consultation room. If possible, prepare a separate consulting room. It is better to give the patient a sense of security rather than moving them around. This consulting room is a well-planned and exposed place to express your medical reputation and credibility. Certificate of attendance, photograph of attending the medical meeting, photograph of patient result, and so on. Let's take briefly about the consultation process. This part is very important to you, I guess. When the patient is discuss the treatment with the doctor, they will encounter more complicated problems because of recommended because of the recommended treatment is different depends on the specialty of the doctor they meet. For example, about fat reduction case, some doctors will give liposuction or some of them will use ultrasound and exercise prescription. To some of process of medical service, patients will come to hospital after many days worrying about the treatment they needed, and they will listen to some well-organized treatment method from the doctor. After they visit the hospital, they are more worried about which treatment to choose. The doctor tells the patient that they will help the patient for their decision, but they actually threw back to the patient to decide. Patient must go through painful purchase process in which they must determine the most right treatment. Patients feel more complicated and difficult to make decisions because they get a new well-organized consent from the doctor. In this process, I will inform you of the patient's mind. Do you want to make your patient to trust you and cooperate in the treatment process? If so, read the patient's real mind. Patients don't want a hospital that throw. Actually, the patients they don't want a hospital that throw well-organized problem to them. Try this in summary by role. Doctors and consultants strongly recommend it, and this solution is the best or among other treatment. Proposal of treatment with special interest and respect for the patient. The consultant emphasized once again, this doctor is very good at this treatment at this time. It is effective to show evidence of doctor's profile, photograph of surgical result, academic activities. But as I mentioned earlier, the patient is very sensitive to price. So when you talk about the cost, make your patient feel you are consider the patient very specially. It is necessary to make patients feel the hospital gives something more for them. So it is necessary to make patients feel the hospital gives something more for them. Give a free cool-down massage after the intracellular or give an aftercare gift to make the patient feel like getting a discounted treatment. When talking to the patient, start with this is case for you. Do not make this patient a common case, such as actually everyone is treated like this. Depending on the hospital size and operating system in the hospital, it is usually advisable to separate treatment consultation and cost consultation. When the doctor discusses the cost, it might look commercially and the authority of doctors may decline. Or it is inconvenient to talk to the patient about the money. The doctor will discount the cost to the patient wishes. In this process, the doctor ability is compared with the cost, and while it may be appreciated for a while when the cost is discounted, but the discounted amount may be recognized by the doctor's ability. If you have a professional consultant, the doctor can confidently explain treatment. When the patient goes out after the consultation, go out the go out to the front of the entrance or to the elevator and keep showing that you are interested to the patient. Do not get misunderstanding that you are less interested in after the patient payment. Even after all treatment is finished, keep in touch with the patient and express your interest, and send monthly newspaper to the patient in order not to forget you. This process allows the patient to revisit or introduce your hospital to their friends. It is much more economical and effective to maintain existing patients than to attract new patients. They have already built up a trusted relationship with us. Likewise, it is a crucial solution to directly educate and necessary business function for your team, such as expertise and professional speech, facial expression, posture. The most important competency is it to express or communicate in the process of helping our customer to easily understand and purchase our products. You, your image, actually your image can be worse than your behavior. But what about the patient who hasn't yet experienced your holy care? What about the patient who has been treated with great medical skills and still seems hesitant? You need to communicate with these patients in way speciality in way specifically designed to build trust. Patient trust in medical professional comes in five categories. See slide page 19. The first, competence is defined as having authority, expertise, or good judgment. Your patient may doubt about your ability and qualifications, then emphasize the strengths and qualities of medical professional at this time. So you can complement the brilliance of your own work, but your staff or nurse can complement your performance by saying, Dr. Cynthia is excellent surgeon like this. Let's take an example. After a treatment, in the treatment room, the medical staff praise each other in front of the patient. Try to say like this. It was a difficult case, but the treatment process was good. Patient will believe and appreciate this message of quality treatment. Many doctors and team members are not used to emphasizing their competence. Don't ever refer to your service as just a routine. Another case, if patient says to you or your staff, I'm wondering if this treatment is the best one for me. Don't ever provide a general response such as this is common treatment for your case. Don't ever answer like that. Better to say this is exactly the right treatment for you. Let's look at more example. If a If a patient is worried about big pore and asks, what do you recommend intracellular? Why do you recommend intracellular treatment? In other hospitals, they actually recommend only prostate laser. If they say like that, then you can say, in your case, the pores are already aged vertically and required more powerful treatment. Intracellular needle put physical power on your pore and gives you more power to tighten pores. So you can feel more satisfaction when you get intracellular treatment. Because I know your expectations, so I recommend this treatment to you. Like this, you can say. Give them the impression that the patient is receiving special care. Avoid treatment them in common way. Use strong background when you explain. Use research, invitation from publicly known source, doctor's consultation, or FDA news like that. Also, patient result photo are good material for explaining. It is a good idea to place a copy of your certificate, diplomas, or profile of medical staffs in a booklet or photo frame to expose it to the patient's journey. Second category is commitment. Commitment means Patient trust your belief in the worth and rightness of your recommendation. Patients want to know if you really believe what you are saying or if you only partially believe you are saying. Use this method for patients who suspect your recommendation. Use cases of yourself or friends or similar patient. For example, yes, I also have ultrasound Q plus treatment. I was not satisfied with exercise or dietary result before, but I'm satisfied with the body controlling with ultrasound Q plus treatment. Like this, you can say. Even when shopping, we are very influenced by the purchasing review. The product says a high that you can see often in advertisement as it is more familiar. A lot of other people use or friendly products are highly favorable. So you can show the number of interested cases or interested tips you actually used. If you have a smaller number of interested patients in your hospital, you may want to write down the interested total sales volume. To date, 72,450 people worldwide have received interested treatment like this, you can say. And third, it is about candor. It means patients trust you to be straight with them. It means they don't suspect you of hiding something, lacking their access to information, tell pros and cons of treatment without deceiving. All treatments have not only benefits but also risks. But the hospital does not explain the risk well. The patient only knows how to get pretty through plastic surgery. After surgery, the process of recovery is very painful. During this time, trust with the patient is broken, and the patient complains to many people about their discomfort and destroyed patient potential customers. If we give the impression that we are making a correct decision for the patient will trust us and be at ease. Hard to understand language can create distrust, not lessen it. Speak at speak at the patient's level. Sometimes patients often say, once I understand I can trust you more, this doctor speaks my language. I feel better when I know what's going on. If the doctor tells the patient in advance about the discomfort expected, the patient can understand during the period. The patient phase begins with the will to give the right information. Sometimes patients have a lot of information through internet search or patients with high medical IQ. If we met patients with high medical IQ can make us tired. When patients try to measure you with their knowledge, try to communicate with information accurately using research, article, brochures. The fourth is confident is the behavior of the doctor or the staff. The style of giving reliability of patient. It is always evaluated even if the patient does not speak. It is delivered not only your medical knowledge but also in speaking style, like eye contact, gesture, posture, facial expression, and voice. This isn't confidence. This is a confidence that is seen better than your medical knowledge. It is not necessarily a language, but a nonverbal trust vectors. Finally, cost fairness. As mentioned before, it is necessary to have the idea of giving information is already available online. You may have price competition against the surrounding area, but design a great service process and bring it to price. In this professional service field, people are highly dependent on the actions and word of people. The ability of the members to communicate plays an important role in determining the success or failure of the service. Now, in medical service, we need to think about the path and means of communication. Today, I emphasize the careful management of patient experience and service travel is an important factor in successful hospital management. And I feel really sorry about the lecture because I'm not used to speaking English, so um, I feel really sorry about the lecture again. So thank you for listening. I'm Cynthia, and bye.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks again for joining us today. And we will see you next time. Thank you.